I was just asking Kevin Ryans from St. Louis about what his plans were, assuming that he was going to go to Columbia. I mean, listen, when you go and you get above like the Mason-Dixon, Kevin, even though I grew up in Northwest Ohio, I kind of like the geography of what it looks like up there. I just don't even remember anymore. So the fact that you were like, hey, no, actually, I'm going to Champaign for Ohio State and Illinois was a little bit mind-blowing to me. Of course, you guys are pulling double duty there at our affiliate there in St. Louis. Other team member is going to go to the big one in Columbia. What's this breakdown going to look like in terms of coverage? I always love picking the brains of other sports departments.
Yeah, it's all about presence, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna make sure that we're showing our faces and make sure people know that in our area we're covering both Missouri and Illinois. We got a huge Illini contingent in the St. Louis area because east of the Mississippi River that separates East St. Louis from downtown St. Louis. So we go into Illinois, man, they're passionate about their Fighting Illini. So
interesting.
Got to cover them too.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's really that's great stuff. Looking forward to this weekend, no question about it. Kevin, there's been a lot of talk, much has been made of this game between Missouri and Alabama. A lot of folks think that Alabama has some vulnerabilities. They've shown that, of course, early in the season with the loss to Florida State. Then they get some, comeback when they go to Athens, beat Georgia. Of course, they beat Vanderbilt. But this line is making us all, or the spread rather, is making us all feel like there's something here. What's the thought process on this?
It's a massive game for Missouri. Mizzou hasn't had many opportunities where two top 15 teams are squaring off in Faurot Field in Columbia. So just for the fact that they have a game of this magnitude in front of their home fans, it's the kind of game that Mizzou and their passionate fan base has been waiting for. So what a massive opportunity for them. And it's the kind of game that they have not won in quite some time. The Mizzou is 25-5 over the last 30 games. Each of their 5 losses have come against SEC heavyweights: LSU, Georgia, Texas A&M, Alabama. So this is the kind of game that they have not won and that they want to win to establish themselves as one of the premier college football teams in the country.
Yeah, and Eli Drinkwitz certainly feels as though that is the roster and the team, the program that he has been building. When you look at what Missouri has done to this point, what indicates to you with their current resume that they are going to make this game competitive?
Offensively, they have arguably the best running back in America in Ahmad Hardy. If they can lean on that in their run game and their passing game, improves a little bit. It was a little bit of a struggle against South Carolina. And then Bo Pribula threw another interception, a really bad one against UMass. But if they can get that going against Alabama, as well as continue to control the clock with their run game, they have every bit of chance to be able to do that and keep up with offensively. The only thing that I'm concerned about is not necessarily the defensive front, because they've been great with the guys like Zion Young over on that defensive line, and then Josiah Trotter as one of their linebackers. They have wreaked havoc on everyone else's run game. But the secondary for Mizzou has had a lot of issues this year against some of the big FBS opponents like Kansas and South Carolina. Can they figure out and tame the passing game of their opponents? If they're able to do that, combined with how their offense is playing, they have every bit of a chance to win these games.
Kevin, I want to go back to the offense, and Patrick, I know that you put together some stats on this. When you look at what they've been able to do in 2025, Patrick, just from kind of the tail of the tape, it's pretty impressive. I mean, listen, this is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, 2,700 total yards. About half of them have been rush yards. Half are pass yards.
Good balance there.
45.2 points per game, 29 touchdowns in 1 year through up until week 7. I mean, that's just ridiculous in my eyes. But I mean, you look at Bo Pribula, he's nice job in the backfield there. But when you look, we had Pete Yanity from Spartanburg on earlier this week, and his argument was that Missouri hasn't. Or no, it was Scott Griffin. We had Scott Griffin on earlier this week, and his argument was Missouri hasn't played anybody.
Yeah.
What is your clapback to that?
you know what, I can't fight him on that part of it. It's been very manageable, for sure. The Central Arkansas, UMass, and Louisiana, those are not teams that they should have any trouble with, and in fact didn't have much trouble with.
Yeah, you can only play the games on your schedule. I mean, if you didn't have an issue with them, then that's all you can do.
Yeah, but what I will say though is that Mizzou in a tough environment against Kansas. I know they were at home, but Kansas gave them a pretty good game. They were able to come back a few times in that contest and win that game against a rival. Same thing against South Carolina. South Carolina, with all the troubles that they had going into the week, whether or not their quarterback was starting and whatnot, they gave Mizzou a really good game, and Mizzou was able to hold them off as well. A first rivalry game to start SEC play. So against those tough, top Division I opponents, they were able to go out there and not only win those games, win them handily, and control those games, but also fight back and show some resilience as well. So it's not like they haven't gotten teams' best shot. They've been able to get some of the teams, their opponents, they've been able to get some of their best play, and people have been playing up to Missouri, and they've been able to win those games and pretty handily as well.
That's a really all of those really great point, Kevin. And when you are watching it from, and I'm not trying to dog on Scott or anything like that, or even myself, because you look at the teams there and you're like, okay, what does this even tell us? But for you to actually watch those games, for you to see what it is Missouri has done in those games is very notable. And it certainly takes somebody who's paying attention to what is going on. I mean, I'm not going to lie, when I just pulled up the SEC offensive stats, I was a little bit surprised to see that Missouri leads the conference in total offense by 10 yards per game. They lead the conference in rushing, and like Patrick pointed out, it's a very balanced attack. That's hard to do right now. Having good offensive efficiency is going to change the game one way or the other. Look no further than Texas. All right, they don't have good offensive efficiency, and they just lost in Gainesville. So when things are not going up to par for quarterback, guy in the backfield, things like that, well, listen, if teams are doing well or super efficient, of course, under Eli Drinkwitz, then listen, that's a lot to be confident about. I know that we did hear from Coach Drink this week going into this Alabama matchup. Let's take a listen to that and break it down.
Yeah, it probably just creates more mind splinters than anything, because you start thinking if this, then that, or you start thinking too much about it. It's going to be a player's game. I think scheme will have something to do with it, but it's going to be a player's game. Obviously, have a lot of respect for what they do offensively, just because that was the style offense that we wanted to bring to here in complementary with what we're doing in the run game. So, but I think if you start asking too many questions, you go down rabbit holes.
In some ways, if there's a place that Alabama is vulnerable, it is in stopping the run. I think it was pointed out several times in the last couple of games against Vanderbilt and against Georgia that there's been issues with the secondary properly fitting runs and stopping either a mobile quarterback or simply a guy out of the backfield. If you're Missouri, you're kind of licking your chops with that situation there, Kevin.
Yeah, they got the two horses over at the running back position. We talked, wax poetic about Ahmad Hardy and his season, but Jamal Roberts, who's a St. Louis kid, so we know him well from his time over at St. Mary's High School, winning state championships here. He's had a really nice season as well as the number 2 back, and he broke out a big 50-yard run to ice the game against Kansas a few weeks ago. So more than capable to be able to go out and help with the load that Ahmad Hardy has. That's a great running back to have, to complement what they do on offense.
Correct me if I'm wrong on my opinion on this, and please, if you feel this way, say it. They've had a manageable schedule to this point, and they kind of have a manageable schedule ahead. It's not like we're sitting here just looking at, every single blockbuster SEC team that could exist. I mean, of course, the Alabama game is here. Then you're going to go to Auburn, and right now we know what Auburn is, which isn't much. Then you're going to play at Vanderbilt. Okay. I mean, listen, that could certainly be a fair battle. You're going to get A&M at home. Then it's Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Like, I'm looking here at this game or at this schedule, and I'm thinking, okay, Alabama is obviously a tough one. Vanderbilt, you don't really know, but between Alabama A&M, Oklahoma. I mean, it's not like week in and week out, Kevin, that this team is just having to line it up against the best of the best in the SEC. And we already said on the show today, and we say it about every single day, anybody can beat everybody in this league. So there's that. But, man, if you're sitting there and you're midway point and you're like, well, we're going to go into the back half of October undefeated, and it's not like we have the worst schedule on the planet, you're feeling pretty good if you're the Tigers.
I said this preseason. We did those college football.
You know ball, Kevin. You can just say that, bro. You're right. You know, Kevin. You just know it.
Yeah, everyone thought, Missouri. I think Missouri's win total, I think it was like over under 7 or something like that. I said if they can get to this portion of the schedule with 5 or 6 wins, there's no question. I think they're going to be able to get to 8 and 9 because of the 2 of the last 3 games against weak opponents. But I will say the 4 games that they do have with the top tier of the SEC, those ranked opponents, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, of course, Alabama this Saturday, Vanderbilt. If you have aspirations of getting to the college football playoff, if you have aspirations of winning this league, in making it to the SEC championship and doing everything that Eli Drinkwitz set out to do back in 2020, these are the games that you have to win. You mentioned the analyst that you had on earlier this week, talking about kind of dogging Mizzou's schedule a little bit. Well, you have every chance right now in front of you to go out and prove them wrong by winning those big games. And so Mizzou still has a lot of work to do, but they're in a really good position now to be able to control their own destiny. And that's something that Eli Drinkwitz and his coaching staff and the Mizzou program would have loved to have and signed up for at the beginning of the season.
Kevin, when you look at this game and you look at the preseason, I know we dogged on Eli Drinkwitz about his expanded playoff aspirations at SEC Media Days a little bit. But if Missouri were to lose this game, do you think the Tigers are still a college football playoff team?
Not at the moment. Not with the teams that they played. I think we talked a couple of weeks ago, it might have been before South Carolina. I didn't love their win against Kansas. Kansas already has a Big 12 loss. Not many terrific wins on their schedule. UMass, they lose to everybody. Central Arkansas isn't any good. Wrong. Louisiana, I think they were 2-3 heading into this week. Those are not exactly the wins that you look at and think this is a college football playoff team. And so we're looking for these big marquee games to come, whether it's Oklahoma, whether it's Alabama, to be able for Missouri to show that they are for real. And I really think that winning these games, I don't even think playing close. I think winning these games, while playing close is admirable, I think winning the games is going to really put them on the map. Anything short of that, I think you're going to have a lot of trouble convincing people that this is a team worthy of being in one of those top spots for the college football playoff.
Yeah, and I think we talked about a little bit earlier on the show too, is that to me, the losses are always just more damaging than the wins are helpful, right? I mean, that's where we always put our eyes when we're talking about these playoff games is, okay, a 2-loss team. I mean, it's not we're sitting here talking about like a 12-win team. We're talking about how many losses do these teams have. That's always going to just matter more. Who the losses are to, certainly another big point. Right now, if you look at the ESPN playoff, college football playoff predictor, Missouri has a 34% chance of being in the playoff. In fact, that they have the 12th best odds. I don't really know what the math and they're doing on this. I'm just reading this as it is here. I'm reading it cold on the air. Just looked at it.
We're sports anchors.
Yeah, that's what we do. I mean, that's what we do. We just roll with the punches. Exactly, Kevin. And so, I mean, you're looking at this. There's opportunity ahead because here's my deal. They have Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, Georgia, Oklahoma. So they're the 6th best in terms of what the possibility of Missouri being in the playoffs. They have the 6th best odds in the SEC. And I would say that would be about right for what they've done to this point. What that tells me, though, is that with Alabama, with A&M, with Oklahoma still on the schedule, is that there's a lot of opportunity to go get 2 of 3 in that game. You get 2 of 3 there. You drop one. So losing to Alabama to me, doesn't take Missouri out of the playoff race at all, especially if they're a one-loss team. By the time we get to the end of it, there's a good chance that they're going to be, in Atlanta. I mean, if you're in Atlanta, you got to get to Atlanta to be in the conversation. If you're not in Atlanta, to me, you're at this point, you're on the outside looking in, and you're crossing your fingers and you need a little bit of help. If you're in Atlanta, then the playoff committee has to decide, okay, well, the SEC champions obviously going to be in there. The team that lost, are they going to, having that extra loss because they played the extra game, is that going to count against them? And then you look at, how many teams will the SEC have in total? Will it be 3? I think we'll have 3 for sure. Will it be 4? A lot of people argue yes. If there's 4 SEC teams that are in, let's play in the odds right now. I mean, then we're talking about that Missouri, just talking about the league alone, is the second team out if you're just looking at it today, and they haven't played anybody. And so there's certainly a lot of opportunity ahead for Missouri to make their case. And I mean, it's not, once again, there's a lot of teams that are not on their schedule, and that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, this was very reminiscent of a couple of years ago when they went to the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
They had a couple of opportunities. I think they went that year, 10-2 or 11-2 that year.
And Eli's been talking about it since.
Yeah, those two. Hey, look, Mizzou, they beat Ohio State, and that's a big deal for the program. They were able to win the Cotton Bowl. So obviously a lot of momentum going into the last couple of years. But they had an opportunity at home to beat LSU. Jaden Daniels went down the field and beat Mizzou at the end. They were in Athens and had the ball driving for the win against Georgia, and Brady Cook had a massive fumble and turnover that allowed Georgia to ice the game in that contest.
Yep.
They'd be thinking about those couple of plays, right, in that season, right? Every opportunity is in front of Mizzou to be able to make their case. There's no question about that. 4 ranked opponents that we talked about, and I think they're better than Auburn, and they're better than Arkansas, of course. If they're able to state their claim these next few weeks, there's no doubt about it in my mind with the way that they've started the season and the numbers they've been able to put up offensively, along with some ranked wins, particularly in their conference. It'd be hard to keep them out if they're able to take care of business.
Good stuff. Kevin Ryan's joining us from St. Louis. We appreciate it, sir. Have fun watching the Fighting Illini against the Buckeyes on Saturday. That's going to be a big one, man. Hey, both Ohio State, number 1 odds, of course. They're number 1 ranked team. That makes a lot of sense to make the playoff. And Illinois is actually in the mix on 20% odds that the Illini are there fighting for the Natty. That'll be interesting.
For sure.
That would be something.
Illinois is. I don't mean to cut you off there. I know you guys got to get to other things, but Illinois has everything in front of them as well. If they're able to play Ohio State close, I think they're better than the rest of the teams that are on their schedule too. And so even if they lose to Ohio State, they have every chance to be able to make their claim for the football playoff as well. So a lot of excitement here in the St. Louis area for both Mizzou and for the Illini.
Kevin, if there's one thing or 2 things that we know we're always going to get from you, it is great insight and great optimism for your programs, and I love you for that, my guy. I really do. So thank you so much for your time, my guy, and we'll see you next week, and we'll dissect this one between the Tigers and the Tide.
Yeah, hopefully we're talking about at least an exciting game for sure.
You know what? I hope everybody has a good time. That's all that I always say. Good stuff. All right, guys.